Gentlemen, I need to give you a serious warning today because what I'm about to reveal may truly surprise you. If you're over 60, there are not just one or two, but 10 different types of nuts that are quietly causing your prostate to grow larger every single day. These are nuts you probably enjoyed for years, maybe even thinking they were healthy for you. But the reality is, they may be the hidden reason you're waking up at night to use a bathroom or dealing with a frustrating way to prostate enlargement. My name is Dr. Juan James, a board-certified urologist with over 30 years of experience helping men safeguard their prostate health, restore their confidence, and live with strength and dignity. I've seen firsthand the damage an enlarged prostate can create, and I've committed my life to guiding men through it with both compassion and proven science. Now here's the uncomfortable truth. While you've been told for decades that nuts are heart-healthy, brain-boosting, and the smart snack for longevity, no one told you the other side of the story. Certain nuts actually fuel inflammation and hormonal imbalance, which in turn cause your prostate to swell. That's why in this video, I'm going to expose the 10 worst nuts you must avoid starting today. Once you eliminate them, you'll give your body the chance to soothe inflammation, improve your sleep, and reclaim your health. Stay tuned until the very end, because I'll be naming all 10, and the last one may surprise you most. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss essential advice for your prostate health. And I'd love your feedback. If you want more videos like this, type 1 in the comments. If you prefer a different focus, type 0. Your input helps me create content that truly serves your needs. Now, let's get into it. The very first nut on this list is one you've probably eaten since childhood, and while it's a favorite in most homes, it's secretly one of the worst offenders for your prostate: peanuts. 1. Peanuts. Let's begin with the most surprising and maybe even the most difficult to accept, because peanuts are such a big part of American life. From peanut butter sandwiches in school lunches, to roasted peanuts at sports games, to peanut oil in cooking, this nut has been a comfort food and tradition for generations. But here's the truth. After 60, peanuts are no longer your ally. They are actually one of the most harmful nuts for your prostate. Why? First, peanuts are high in omega-6 fatty acids. Now, omega-6 itself isn't bad. It's necessary in small amounts. But when the balance of omega-6 to omega-3 gets out of control, as it often does in the modern diet, it triggers inflammation. And inflammation is a major driver of prostate enlargement. Think of it this way. Every handful of peanuts is like pouring fuel on a fire inside your prostate, causing it to swell, ache, and tighten. Second, peanuts are often contaminated with aflatoxins, toxins produced by molds during storage. You can't see them, you can't taste them, but your body feels their damage. These toxins harm DNA, increase oxidative stress, and may even raise cancer risk. For a gland as delicate as the prostate, that's like letting a hidden enemy into your system every time you snack. Third, peanuts contain compounds called phytoestrogens, plant-based molecules that act like estrogen in the body. As men age, testosterone naturally declines while estrogen activity relatively increases. Eating peanuts only worsens this imbalance, pushing the prostate toward more growth. Now, you might be thinking, Doctor, I've eaten peanuts all my life, and I feel fine. But let me ask you, are you really fine? Are you sleeping soundly through the night? Is your flow as strong as it was at 50? Do you know for certain that your prostate isn't gradually expanding year after year? Symptoms often creep up slowly, stealing your comfort before you even realize it. Gentlemen, if there's one nut I strongly urge you to cut out today, it's peanuts. Removing them can be the first step to reducing inflammation, calming your hormones, and giving your prostate the relief it needs. And if you think peanuts are the only nut to worry about, think again, because the next nut on this list is just as common, just as loved, and just as dangerous. Let's talk about cashews. And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, there's yet another nut, rich, flavorful, and often linked with desserts, that quietly places an even heavier load on your prostate health. Let's talk about pecans. 3. Pecans. Pecans may seem harmless, even wholesome, especially when you think of pecan pie at holiday gatherings or a small bowl of roasted pecans as a snack. For many, they bring back memories of family celebrations, Thanksgiving tables, and traditions filled with comfort. But as meaningful as those memories are, here's the truth. Pecans can quietly work against your prostate. And if you're past 60, they may be part of the reason your nights are broken by repeated bathroom visits. The first issue with pecans is their extremely high level of omega-6 fatty acids. Like I've mentioned before, omega-6 isn't always bad. The danger comes when it dominates over omega-3. That imbalance pushes the body into a constant inflammatory state. In older men, this inflammation often hides inside the prostate. The gland doesn't cry out in obvious pain. It swells quietly, presses on the bladder, and suddenly you're waking up 3, 4, even 5 times a night without realizing what's really happening. Pecans may taste sweet and innocent, but inside, they may be fueling a storm. The second problem is calories. Pecans are packed with energy, and just a handful can contain more than you think. I often see this in my patients. Casual snacking on calorie-rich nuts slowly adds pounds, especially around the midsection. And that belly fat doesn't just sit there doing nothing. It produces estrogen, which throws off the balance men need between testosterone and estrogen. More fat means more estrogen activity. More estrogen means more prostate growth. I can't tell you how many men I've spoken to in their 60s and 70s who proudly told me they ate pecans for health. They believed they were making a smart choice by avoiding processed junk. But over time, their prostates enlarged, their symptoms worsened, and they were left confused about why. That's when I have to gently explain. Sometimes the very foods you think are protecting you are quietly holding you back. So, gentlemen, take a closer look at pecans. If they've been part of your routine, it may be time to scale back or cut them out entirely. Because while they comfort your taste buds, they are not doing your prostate any favors. And if pecans raise an eyebrow, wait until you hear about the next nut. It's small, often sprinkled on salads or blended into fine dishes, yet it carries risks that can silently irritate your system from the inside. Let's shift our attention to pine nuts. 4. Pine nuts. Pine nuts are often seen as a gourmet food, sprinkled over salads, ground into pesto, or lightly toasted in elegant recipes. Many of my patients view them as refined, even sophisticated. But what most men don't realize is that these tiny seeds can gradually undermine prostate health in ways that are subtle but significant. The first issue is, once again, their high omega-6 content. Pine nuts may be small, but they pack a heavy punch in terms of pushing your body toward inflammation. And remember, inflammation doesn't always show up as visible pain. Inside the prostate, it's like a low fire. The gland swells, becomes irritated, and bathroom trips grow more frequent and more urgent. If pine nuts have been a regular, healthy choice in your diet, your prostate may be feeling the hidden consequences. There's another peculiar problem too, something known as pine mouth syndrome. Not everyone experiences it, but when it does occur, it leaves a metallic, bitter taste that lingers for days. Why does this matter for the prostate? Because it's a sign of oxidative stress. The same stress that leaves an unpleasant taste in your mouth can quietly damage cells throughout the body, including those in the prostate. Over time, that extra strain weakens tissue and increases vulnerability to enlargement. I recall one man in his late 60s who loved topping his nightly salads with pine nuts. He believed he was doing everything right, avoiding red meat, focusing on plants, and eating clean. Yet, despite his efforts, he was still waking up 4 or 5 times each night. When we examined his diet, pine nuts appeared nearly every day. Once he replaced them with walnuts, the difference was dramatic. Months later, he told me he had finally enjoyed full nights of sleep, something he hadn't experienced in years. Gentlemen, pine nuts may look harmless and even sophisticated, but they are not allies of the prostate, especially past 60. And if pine nuts concern you, prepare yourself. The next nut is even richer, creamier, and often advertised as a heart-healthy indulgence. But when it comes to prostate health, macadamia nuts carry hidden risks you need to understand. 5. Macadamia nuts. Macadamia nuts have long been viewed as luxurious, almost indulgent. They are buttery, smooth, and often associated with treats like white chocolate macadamia cookies or gourmet snack blends. Many men tell me they chose macadamias because they thought they were the better fat, a smart alternative to junk food. But here's the reality. Macadamias, while delicious, can quietly make prostate troubles worse. The first issue is their fat composition. Macadamias are especially high in saturated fats. Now, some saturated fat in moderation is fine, But when eaten regularly in high amounts, it can raise cholesterol. And cholesterol problems don't just affect the heart. They limit circulation everywhere, including the pelvic region. Poor blood flow around the prostate means less oxygen, less nutrient delivery, and more stress on the gland. Over time, the stress fuels enlargement and worsens urinary symptoms. The second concern is calories. Macadamias are extremely dense, and a small handful carries hundreds of calories. Because they are so rich and buttery, it's easy to eat far more than you intended. Those calories often turn into belly fat. And as I've said before, belly fat isn't just extra weight. It's hormonally active. It produces estrogen-like signals that disrupt testosterone's protective effect. The more belly fat you carry, the more pressure your hormones place on your prostate, pushing it toward further growth. I remember one man in his 70s who shared how he enjoyed macadamias with a glass of wine every evening. To him, it was a small reward at the end of the day. But he also admitted that he was waking up 5 times a night and had begun to dread bedtime because of the constant interruptions, that he even dreaded short car rides because he never knew when the next urgent bathroom stop would come. Once we removed macadamias from his diet and replaced them with a modest handful of walnuts, within weeks he noticed more energy and, over time, fewer nightly interruptions. It was living proof that even a small dietary shift can restore comfort and dignity. So, while macadamias may feel like a small indulgence, for your prostate they are far more trouble than they are worth. And if you think macadamias were a guilty pleasure, wait until we get to the next nut, one that men often eat by the handful at parties or keep in bowls around the house, believing they are harmless. But in reality, they hide problems that strike directly at urinary health. Let's talk about pistachios. 6. Pistachios. Pistachios are one of those nuts that almost feel entertaining. Cracking the shell, revealing the bright green center, enjoying the salty crunch. It's fun, almost addictive. Many of my patients tell me they snack on pistachios instead of chips, believing they've made a healthier choice. And while I understand the appeal, here's the truth. After 60, pistachios can quietly stir up trouble in your prostate. The first issue is their heavy omega-6 content. I've mentioned this before, but it bears repeating. Excess omega-6 drives inflammation, and inflammation is a silent engine behind prostate growth. You won't necessarily feel it directly, but you'll notice it in the restless nights, the weakest stream, and the constant urge to go. Regularly eating pistachios only keeps that fire smoldering inside your body. The second issue is something most men don't connect to their prostate: digestive irritation. Pistachios contain natural carbohydrates called fructans, which are difficult for many men to break down. They ferment in the gut, creating bloating, gas, and discomfort. But here's the link. Gut irritation activates the immune system, and that immune response often spills over into the prostate, worsening inflammation and symptoms. Many men never realize their urinary issues are tied to what's happening in their digestion until they cut out pistachios and finally notice improvement. And then there's the problem of portion control. Pistachios may look small, but who stops at a handful? A bowl can quickly add up to hundreds of calories. And as with other calorie-dense nuts, that weight tends to settle around the waistline. Belly fat is hormonally active. It produces estrogen signals that push your prostate further out of balance. I once had a gentleman in his late 60s proudly tell me he had given up soda and ice cream, only to replace them with pistachios. Yet he was still waking up 5 or 6 times each night, exhausted and frustrated. Once he cut back, relief finally followed. So while pistachios may look cheerful and inviting, your prostate pays a hidden price. And if pistachios made you think twice, wait until you hear about the next snack seed. It's common, inexpensive, and often eaten while driving or watching sports. But when it comes to prostate health, sunflower seeds may be doing more damage than you expect. 7. Sunflower seeds. Sunflower seeds feel almost innocent. Maybe you cracked them open at a bowl game or kept a bag handy during long trips. They are cheap everywhere and give that satisfying crunch. Many men feel they're making a smarter choice than chips or candy. But here's what most don't realize. For the prostate, sunflower seed can quietly fuel the very issues you're trying to avoid. The biggest red flag is their extremely high omega-6 content. By now you know the pattern. Excess omega-6 drives inflammation, and inflammation drives prostate swelling. It doesn't scream at you with pain, but it shows up as nights broken by multiple bathroom trips, as urgency when you're far from a restroom, as a quiet frustration of never feeling fully relieved. Every handful of sunflower seeds may be feeding that cycle without you knowing it. There's another issue too. The oils in sunflower seeds are fragile and oxidize easily. When roasted or stored for long periods, they go rancid. That rancidity creates free radicals, unstable molecules that damage healthy cells, including those in your prostate. Over time, this oxidative stress weakens a gland, making it more vulnerable to swelling and irritation. I remember a retired truck driver who swore by sunflower seeds to stay awake on the road. He thought he was being smart by avoiding candy bars. But when we reviewed his diet, he was going through bag after bag each week. His nights were miserable, constant urination, poor sleep, and growing frustration. When he finally swapped sunflower seed for healthier nuts like walnuts, within a few months he told me it felt like someone had handed him his nights back. Gentlemen, sunflower seeds may bring back fond memories, but your prostate doesn't share the nostalgia. And if sunflower seeds caught you off guard, you'll want to listen even closer to the next one. Because this seed has a reputation for supporting men's health, yet when eaten too often, it can quietly backfire. Let's turn to pumpkin seeds. 8. Pumpkin seeds. Pumpkin seeds have almost a legendary status when it comes to men's health. You've probably read that they are good for the prostate, and in moderation, that can be true. They contain zinc and certain plant compounds that may help support the urinary system. But here's the part most men never hear. When pumpkin seeds are eaten daily or in large amounts, they can do more harm than good. Pumpkin seeds are rich in phytosterols, plant compounds that mimic hormones in the body. In small doses, they may help with cholesterol, but in higher amounts they create hormonal confusion, especially in older men whose testosterone is already declining. The last thing your body needs is more estrogen-like activity. Yet that's exactly what too many pumpkin seeds deliver, nudging the prostate toward more growth. And just like other nuts and seeds, they are deceptively calorie-dense. A handful doesn't seem like much, but it's easy to overeat, especially when roasted and salted. Those calories add up quickly, settling around the waistline. Belly fat produces estrogen, and when combined with high phytosterols, the effect is doubled. Your hormones shift further out of balance, and your prostate continues to enlarge. I recall a man in his early 70s who came to me proud of his healthy habits. Every evening, he roasted pumpkin seeds, convinced he was protecting his prostate. Yet he was still waking up 4 or 5 times each night, worn down by poor sleep. When he finally cut back, the improvement was clear. Fewer trips to the bathroom, deeper sleep, and renewed energy. So while pumpkin seeds may have a good reputation, too much of a good thing can backfire. Moderation matters. And for men over 60, it can make the difference between restless nights and restful ones. Even short drive became stressful for him because he never knew when the urge to find a restroom would strike. But once we cut out the macadamias and swapped them for a small serving of walnuts, he noticed a difference within weeks. His energy improved, and gradually his bathroom visits became less frequent. It proved that even a single change in habit can restore both comfort and dignity. So, while macadamia nuts may taste like a little indulgence, for your prostate they are more trouble than they are worth. And if you think macadamias were a guilty pleasure, wait until you hear about the next nut. It's one that men often eat by the handful at social events, believing it's harmless, when in reality it hides problems that strike directly at your urinary health. Let's talk about pistachios. 6. Pistachios. Pistachios are one of those nuts that feel almost playful to eat. Cracking open the shells, finding that bright green center, enjoying the salty crunch, it's easy to see why they're addictive. Many patients tell me they keep a bowl of pistachios on the table, thinking they are making a lighter choice than chips or candy. And I understand why. They taste great, look wholesome, and are widely promoted as heart healthy. But here's what most men don't realize. Once you're over 60, pistachios may quietly be adding to your prostate troubles. The first issue is their high omega-6 content. You've heard me stress this before, but it's worth repeating. Too much omega-6 fuels inflammation, and inflammation is a hidden force behind prostate growth. You won't always notice it immediately, but every time you wake up at night to urinate or feel your stream weaken, that inflammation is quietly working against you. Regularly eating pistachios can keep that internal fire alive. Another concern with pistachios is their load of natural compounds called fructans. These carbohydrates can be difficult for many men to digest. They ferment in the gut, causing bloating, gas, and discomfort. Now, you might ask, what does digestion have to do with the prostate? The truth is, the gut and prostate are more connected than you think. When your digestive system is irritated, the immune system responds, and that immune activity can spill over into your prostate, driving more inflammation and worsening symptoms. Many men never realize their bathroom struggles are partly linked to their gut. But when they remove pistachios, they notice improvements in both areas. Portion size is another hidden trap. Pistachios may be small, but it's rare to stop at just a handful. A few generous scoops quickly turn into hundreds of calories. Like other calorie-dense nuts, that weight often settles around the belly. Extra belly fat fuels estrogen activity, creating hormonal shifts that push the prostate further out of balance. It's yet another way a harmless-looking snack can complicate your health. I recall one man in his late 60s who proudly told me he'd given up soda and ice cream, replacing them with pistachios every night. But he was still waking up 5 or 6 times, exhausted and frustrated. When I explained the connection and he cut back, he finally began to feel real relief. So, while pistachios may look cheerful and inviting, they aren't as harmless as they seem. And if pistachios surprised you, wait until we discuss the next seed on our list. It's one that many men chew on during games, car rides, or casual snacking. Yet when it comes to your prostate, sunflower seeds carry risks you may never have imagined. 7. Sunflower seeds. Sunflower seeds seem almost innocent. Maybe you've cracked them open at a bowl game or kept a bag in the car for long trips. They are cheap, common, and offer a satisfying crunch that feels like a better choice than candy or chips. But here's what you need to know. For men over 60, sunflower seed can quietly add fuel to an already burning fire in the prostate. One of the biggest concerns is their sky-high omega-6 levels. By now, you've seen the pattern. Too much omega-6 stokes inflammation. And inflammation is the slow, silent driver of prostate enlargement. It doesn't announce itself with sudden pain. Instead, it creeps up as frequent nighttime urination, urgency when you're out in public, or the feeling that your bladder never truly empties. Every handful of sunflower seeds can be feeding that cycle without you even realizing it. Another danger is how quickly sunflower seeds oxidize. Their oils are delicate, and when roasted or stored too long, they can turn rancid. That rancidity produces free radicals, unstable molecules that damage healthy cells, including those in your prostate. Over time, oxidative stress weakens prostate tissue, making it more vulnerable to swelling, irritation, and long-term damage. I once treated a retired truck driver who always kept sunflower seeds in his cab as a healthier snack than candy bars, but he was going through multiple bags each week. His nights were miserable, constant bathroom trips, poor sleep, and deep frustration. When he finally gave them up and replaced them with options like walnuts or almonds, he told me within months it felt as though someone had given him his nights back. Gentlemen, sunflower seeds may bring nostalgia, but your prostate pays a price. And if sunflower seeds gave you pause, wait until we move to the next one. A seed praised for men's health, yet when overdone, it backfires and worsens prostate issues. Let's talk about pumpkin seeds.